Hi, I'm Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox. I'm a white man wearing a blue sweatshirt and a black t-shirt. At Xbox, we believe that gaming can bring joy and community to billions of people, including the more than 400 million players with disabilities. We work constantly to improve accessibility and couldn't do that without the community. So this October, Xbox is celebrating the disability community in conjunction with National Disability Employment Awareness Month. We are bringing together voices from the disability community and sharing some of the innovative work being done to bring play and connection to all. So let's hear what the community has to say about the importance of gaming and accessibility.
The first time I played a game that was accessible to my needs, I felt free.
It's allowed me to have a social life in an enclosed situation, basically.
We're working together across so many different disabilities and needs to find those solutions.
Gaming is such just an activity that brings people together. I think everybody should be able to play.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Morgan Baker, a games accessibility specialist and designer. And I'm a white woman with brown hair, brown glasses, and a green sweater, accompanied by my 2 sign language interpreters today. And today I am honored to be here, where we are celebrating the disability community, sharing their stories, and bringing visibility to some of the incredible accessibility features that make a huge impact on this industry. We have a pretty jam-packed session today of new features, previews of what is coming next, and stories from the community. But before we jump into it, let's briefly take a look back on a few of the highlights from the Xbox accessibility journey so far, and how gaming continues to bring people together through the power of play. Back in 2010, Kinect was launched with motion sensing to bring control of video games through the body and the voice, where you were the controller, pushing the bounds of inclusive gaming while at the same time making the industry ask, how can we include gamers who aren't used to using this motion sensing tech or a standard controller? It was a new way to connect through gaming. Fast forward to 2018 when the Xbox Adaptive Controller released. Grounded in the concepts of inclusive design and by partnering with the community to create this hardware, the ZAC opened more doors to gamers with mobility disabilities to play and connect with their friends and family. This in turn spawned deeper questions from the developer community of what it really means to be accessible in gaming, resulting in resources like the Xbox Accessibility Guidelines. And it resulted in more accessibility features, including Copilot, which enables 2 controllers to function as one, proving to be helpful to anyone who needs more than just the standard setup. We have even seen an expansion on the scope of what accessibility means, creating features for players with or without disabilities. A fantastic example of this would be the game Grounded. And no worries, we are not showing any spiders today. I don't want to see them either. But in Grounded, players are given a prompt about the game's arachnophobia safe mode, which essentially changes the number of eyes and legs to make them not so scary. These innovations are critical steps and have made it so that gaming can occur at the global scale for anyone who wants to play, even during the middle of the pandemic. Just look at the Special Olympics last year, where they kicked off the 2020 Gaming with Inclusion event. Gaming really does come down to the joy and community of play, connecting with friends, family, and other gamers from all around the world. And it really starts with finding the next game you'll love and can't stop playing, watching, or talking about. But up to this point, finding the game that meets your individual needs hasn't always been easy. Coming up, we are thrilled to be sharing a brand new way to discover accessible games with ease and efficiency. But first, a few words from this amazing community.
To me, accessibility in gaming means regular social participation. I was born with a single kidney, so while growing up, I was not allowed to participate in contact sports like football or hockey of any sort. Although unable to physically play with the other kids at school, we were always able to play Halo 2 together.
Accessibility in gaming to me means that I can jump into a game with my friends and not let my disability get in the way.
Accessibility in gaming is very important because it means that I can keep playing the new games that are coming out. I can keep doing what I love, which is exploring new worlds, having great adventures.
Prioritizing accessibility in gaming is an investment for everybody, non-disabled and disabled.
Here to talk about one of our most exciting announcements today is Brannon Zahand, a senior gaming accessibility program manager here at Microsoft. Hey, Brannon.
Hey, Morgan, it's great to see you.
And I'm just so excited to chat with you today. Now, for those of us who don't already know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, including a visual description as well.
Sure. I'm a white male with dark brown hair and glasses, wearing a gaming and disability shirt and jeans, and I'm part of the disability community myself.
That's great. And so I've heard your team has been working on something pretty cool for the gaming and disability community, right?
We have. You know, since I've started on this accessibility journey, the number one question I get from our community is, how do I know which games I can play? It can be difficult for gamers to know before they purchase a game whether it has the accessibility features they need to play. Gamers with disabilities end up having to do a lot of external research just to figure out if they'll be able to enjoy a title. So to help make it a bit easier for our community to find the content that meets their needs, we're excited to announce the availability of a new feature for the Xbox Accessibility Insider League members starting today.
Well, as I say, nothing about us without us. But before you dive into the details of this new functionality, can you tell me a little bit about the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League?
Yeah, the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League is a public group of players self-identifying as having a disability, as well as disability advocates who want to provide feedback on their experiences with our gaming products. Anybody with an Xbox or PC can join through the Xbox Insiders Hub. Individuals who join this group get early access to builds of our games, services, and Xbox operating system to try out new functionality and provide their thoughts.
Wait, so you're saying anyone who signs up for the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League, they'll have access to this new functionality you're about to tell me?
That is right.
Well, then that's fantastic, because surprise, I'm actually an insider myself. Yeah.
Great.
So then, spill it. What's this cool new functionality?
Well, like I mentioned, the challenge we're trying to solve is how we can make it easier for gamers to find content that works for them. Game Pass has been really helpful in many regards with this, as gamers with disabilities can try a bunch of games to see which works best for them without having to put down a lot of money up front. But we know we can do better. So, to that end, we're introducing a new feature in our store that allows game developers to flag their titles with specific accessibility features so consumers can know before they purchase or download a product.
Brannon, you are blowing my mind right now. Being able to find a game with a specific accessibility feature right in the store is going to be a complete game changer, pun intended. So, tell me, how does it work exactly?
So for our first iteration, we've created a list of 20 common accessibility features that our community looks for based on extensive user research and discussion with our gaming and disability community. Things like narrated game menus, subtitle options, input remapping, full keyboard support, and single-stick gameplay. These features, when selected by a developer, will show up in the Xbox store when browsing games. In addition, publishers can add a link to additional accessibility information on a web page directly from the game details page.
Okay, so let's say I want to find a game that has subtitle options. How would I go about doing that?
Well, we've created a brand new accessibility spotlight in the Xbox store where users can find products that have one or more of these features. We also give folks the ability to investigate titles by feature category, such as audio or visual features. And in coming months, users will be able to filter search results in the store by one or more of these features, along with other categories of information, to find the perfect title for them.
Well, it sounds like you have been busy in all the best ways. So, what does a developer have to do to let users know about these features in their games?
Right. Well, each accessibility feature has a set of criteria. That's to ensure that there's a consistent quality bar for each of these features. As an example, there are many games out there that have button remapping features, but for games to say they have the input remapping feature in our stores, there's criteria about not just allowing buttons to be swapped, but also allowing both the X and Y axis for certain input to be inverted, which is really important for many of our gamers.
Right, that's cool. So, what's next then? How can I try this out?
Well, this program has been built on an incredible amount of feedback from both our gaming and disability community as well as developers on our platform. But there's nothing really quite like getting something into people's hands to try out. So this month, we'll be collecting additional feedback from our members of our Xbox Accessibility Insiders League. Once we feel like we're good to go, we'll release the capability to everyone who uses Xbox. But we don't plan to stop there. We know there are other accessibility features our community would like to see developers be able to indicate. We're going to continue investigating those. For example, a feature we're still investigating is one for closed captions. We couldn't get that in this go around because we still need additional community feedback to figure out the best criteria to use for that. However, in a future revision, we hope to add that as well as others, while ensuring we don't put in so many that it becomes confusing. Finally, we're working to expose these features in more than just our store experiences. As an example, while this information is currently available on the Xbox Store, it will also begin to show up on Xbox.com and in the Xbox and Game Pass apps in the coming months.
Wow, that is quite the roadmap, and I'm very excited for your team's journey as y'all continue to hash out this feature and, of course, involve the community's feedback. Brannon, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today about this exciting new tool. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, just an ask to folks to go join the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League and try out this functionality. Oh, and also please fill out our surveys about the program in the Xbox Insider Hub to let us know what you think and how we can improve.
That sounds super. And as an insider myself, I'm genuinely pretty pumped to give it a try later today. Thanks, Brannon, and take care.
Thank you, Morgan.
Oftentimes, when people think about gaming, their first thought is play. Now, Minecraft Education Edition has taken it to a whole new level by including gaming as part of the job interview process. Let's go ahead and check out how gaming is forging new paths to increase the number of people with disabilities in the workplace.
Interviewing can be difficult when you're neurodiverse. And for me, being on the autism spectrum, I had really struggled with this insecurity when it came to jobs and applying to them. When you've been pushed back again and again and again, it wears you down.
It is difficult for some people to accurately convey their skills and abilities in a traditional interview format.
Every aspect of the Microsoft Neurodiversity hiring program has been designed to help our candidates be successful. Our program spans over the course of 4 days to help set them up for success in their final round interviews.
Using Minecraft, we're able to really see that talent for all that it is and make decisions based on absolute skill.
The Minecraft thing was unexpected. I didn't know what was coming. And it was a really happy change of pace. It was surprisingly interactive. It felt a lot more personal.
We use Minecraft to identify teamwork and collaboration skills. And as they navigate through this world, they go through different challenges to showcase how well you're working as a team, how well you're communicating with each other.
It's a C7, so we need someone on H4 for question 2.
The Minecraft experience provides people an opportunity to show their skills and abilities.
Yellow one on the very top right. To the left of that one, put a yellow block.
They can choose to communicate through the text feature, or they can communicate over the Teams chat that we're using. They can choose to have their cameras off or on. It's really up to each individual and their comfort level.
You weren't worrying about the interview. You were just having fun and interacting and solving problems and doing more what you'd expect from a job. A job isn't terrifying every day.
And we find the experience really helps highlight different thinking styles and different communication styles.
Some of our more quiet candidates who don't say much during our hiring events are the first to participate and be guiding others, whether it's with how to use the controls if they're not very familiar with Minecraft, or they're reading the challenges that they come up to.
Candidates are able to come out of that experience feeling like they're able to represent who they really are and bring their authentic self to a set of problems with a group of people.
I wanted to work for Microsoft because it was a company that saw that there was a group of people who had these great talents that were just being pushed by the wayside.
We know that the combined knowledge and experience of many people, many different forms of thinking, will be ultimately the best result.
If we hire neurodiverse talent, if we hire talent with disabilities, we're bringing not just their skills in whatever discipline they may be, we're also bringing their incredible insights and strengths as individuals with disabilities.
Being able to be yourself is the most important thing that anybody can give you. And so having, again, the opportunity to have somebody say to you, like, you be who you are, you do things the way you need to do them, and we're going to work with that, is life-changing.
That's the core nugget of this program that is unique, but I hope spreads and scales to every other hiring process around the world.
Amazing, right? I'm personally really loving that quote from Seth on having the opportunity for someone to say, you be who you are and you do things the way you need to do them. You be you is actually a concept that is very easily applied back to gameplay. With over 400 million gamers with disabilities, we know that the needs of each player can change during the course of their day or their lifetime. That's why we're really excited to share some platform features that will provide even more customization on how you can play.
Hi, I'm Ria Chang, and I am a program manager on the Xbox Experiences team, and my pronouns are she, her.
Hello, I'm Sam Dannemeller. I'm a senior software engineer for the Xbox Experiences team, and my pronouns are he and him.
So what we're about to show you is a couple of features that have been years in the making, and we're super excited to give y'all a sneak peek. So I'm going to start off in the settings menu. We have renamed the ease of access section into accessibility. So we're gonna start off by hopping into night mode.
Basically what it does is it allows you to reduce brightness as well as filter out some of the blues from the light there. So if we go ahead and turn that on,
cool.
The screen gets this kind of dark reddish tinge to it, but definitely you can customize this. So if you go to display, you'll see that we're on the dim slider now, and you can move it left and right to make it more dim, make it less dim. And you'll see on the right, we have an image showing what that does to the colors. So if you're filtering blue light, you'll see that when you move to the left, it's more like normal. And when you move it to the right, it starts filtering out blue pretty heavily. And another part that people have been asking for a while is being able to dim those lights on your control and power button. So if we go into here, you'll see that you can adjust the brightness of your controller. You can set it pretty dim, regardless of whether night mode's on or off. You can also set the brightness for when night mode is running. Now let's go to the power button brightness. And this is something I know that's very important to you, Rhea.
Yeah, I am very excited about the ability to not just change the default brightness of the console's Xbox button, but also the brightness for night mode. As much as I love the Xbox logo, I don't really want to see it in the dark room when I'm trying to watch a movie in all of its beautiful bright glory. So I'm very excited for this feature.
Last part here is that you can set a schedule to your night mode. You can set it to sunrise or sunset times. You can also pick a custom time for it to turn on and off.
Yeah. All right, cool. We're gonna hop back out of here and talk about color filters, which are also towards the bottom of the new accessibility menu. We have a couple of correction types for different kinds of color weakness, so deuteranopia, protanopia, and tritanopia, as well as a couple of sliders to allow users to really adjust those filters to their own preferences. And then the last thing we're gonna talk about is quick settings.
All right, we're in the guide now, we're on the dash. And if you go to our feature quick settings with the view button on the controller, you'll see that everything we've talked about today is in this menu. You can quickly toggle them on and off. You'll see that you can do that to color filters, high contrast, as well as controller remapping. And you can fine tune any of these with that little gear icon to change the various customizations.
Awesome. On behalf of the rest of the Experiences team, Xbox Accessibility, Xbox Research and Design, and the Windows team, we can't wait for you to get your hands on this so you can customize the experience to your gaming needs.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
I'm joined now by Kaitlyn Jones, a program manager on the gaming accessibility team. She is here to explain to us how Xbox is supporting game creators with a commitment to breaking down barriers in accessibility. Kaitlyn, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, including a visual description?
Thanks, Morgan. It's great to be here. I'm Kaitlyn Jones. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a white female wearing a brown sweater, and I have long blondish hair.
Great. Now, we've seen this shift in the industry over the past couple years to make games more accessible. How is Xbox using its influence to encourage and help developers include accessibility in the development process?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, gaming starts with creating, and we want to provide developers with the resources needed to better understand what game accessibility is and how to actually develop and create accessible experiences from the technical side of things.
Right, that totally makes sense to me. And what kind of resources are out there right now to help developers better understand games accessibility?
Over the past few years, several resources have been shared, including the Xbox Accessibility Guidelines, a resource that is essentially a set of gaming accessibility best practices for developers and designers. And it includes scoping questions for each of these game areas, implementation guidelines and examples, and the personas that are impacted by this best practice. We also have the Microsoft Gaming Accessibility Testing Service, which is a service that provides validation for titles against the Xbox Accessibility Guidelines, and the Gaming and Disability Player Experience Guide, which introduces commonly posed barriers and facilitators for players with disabilities.
Wow, these are such great resources to start with, and truth time, I immediately use some of these resources almost every day myself as a game designer. But how are we making it easier for developers to find these resources?
That's an awesome question and allows me to share the next step on our journey to help developers with a pre-announce that these resources will be more prominently included in the Gaming Development Kit, which is now consolidated into a single place, and all of this will be launching in the next GDK release.
Love that. Games accessibility really is its own field, and it's super awesome that y'all have taken the time to compile all these different resources together. So I do wonder, when it comes to learning, it's kind of hard to know whether or not we're on the right track. How are you helping others in the industry to better understand the space and prove out their knowledge, so to speak?
Great question. Today we're also excited to announce that later this month, Xbox will be launching a new Gaming Accessibility Fundamentals learning path. And this is a free learning path on MS Learn to prove out your knowledge of game accessibility. The learning path will introduce a series of different modules that provide an introduction to the gaming and disability community, how to collaborate with the disability community, an overview of the common gaming assistive technologies that players may use, and best practices for game titles, platforms, and gaming hardware as well.
That's incredible. Every one of these modules sounds super cool, and honestly, I just want to do them all right now.
It's super exciting to hear you say that. It's going to be a great resource for anyone that's already familiar with gaming, but is looking to learn about game accessibility for the first time in a way that's easy to understand and comprehensive. And personally, my favorite part is that learners will be introduced to these assistive tools and hardware that players may be using, and really walk away with a deeper knowledge of the holistic gaming experience and how each of these aspects are really interconnected when it comes to approaching accessibility.
Well, I agree that accessibility is a broad field that can really take time to become an expert in. And I feel like every day I learn something new about games accessibility myself. It is great to see these resources being made available to people all across the industry. So when and where can the community get access to this? Please tell me it's soon.
Be on the lookout for the official launch later this month on the MS Learn platform.
Well, now I'm all excited. Can't wait to get my Gaming Accessibility Fundamentals badge soon. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kaitlyn.
Thanks for having me.
Now we're going to shift gears a bit and showcase how accessibility features like Copilot bring the power of connection and play within games themselves.
I would like to describe myself as a creative. I like to write. I really like to read. I love to play video games.
Growing up with Lindsay, having cerebral palsy, was growing up as it was with any younger sister, I'd say. I've always made sure that she was included in whatever I was doing.
But there were always certain games that I was like, oh, I wish I could play this, but it's impossible. I don't have the fine motor skills to be able to do it.
I remember reading about Copilot mode when Microsoft announced it. It's basically two controllers being used for one input. The character on the screen could both be moved forward by player A and player B. I immediately hit on the fact that that was going to be something that me and Lindsay could do.
The very first thing that I was able to do on Copilot was make a little stone house on Minecraft. I cried. I legitimately cried because I was finally free to experience all these video games that my brothers always talked about.
Xbox was the only place Lindsay could have had that experience. When the Reddit post happened, I was overwhelmed. I was expecting it to be, slightly popular, but no, it got thousands of upvotes. If I had gotten one person to learn about Copilot and use it in their family and have a similar impact, then this was worth it.
Everyone, regardless of their experience, has something to bring to the table. My dream for the future is a future where things like Copilot, it isn't big news because it's everywhere.
Accessibility in gaming means that it's allowed me to have a social life in an enclosed situation, basically. To reach out and interact with people and play games with people that I wouldn't normally get to do. And that's a very special feeling for me, and it stopped me from feeling so lonely and alone.
Accessibility in gaming means leveling the playing field so everybody can play together.
Accessibility in gaming gives me ownership of my experience, and it empowers me to play how I want to play. I didn't realize how much I needed it until I had it. Just because I play differently does not mean that my value as a gamer is lesser.
Introduce Paige Johnson, the UX UI producer at 343 Industries. She's in charge of tackling accessibility for Halo Infinite. Welcome, Paige.
Hi, Morgan. It's great to be here.
Could you give us a quick description of yourself for everyone watching?
Sure. Long blonde hair, blue eyes, red business casual blazer. Honestly, Morgan, I'm much more put together right now than my usual work from home attire of sweatpants and t-shirts.
I would say the same, but I'm definitely wearing sweatpants right now. Okay, so I know our community is incredibly excited to hear about this, so I don't want to waste any time at all. Let's just dive into it. How has 343 Industries approached accessibility as it's been developing Halo Infinite?
343 has always been incredibly passionate about our community, but with Halo Infinite, we wanted to make sure that we were being inclusive when thinking about who else can be part of that community. That includes players who have never played a Halo game before, as well as those who have struggled to play due to barriers that haven't previously been accounted for. We knew we needed to be intentional about including the gaming and disability community so that we weren't being unintentionally exclusive. We've partnered closely with Xbox User Research and the Microsoft Gaming Accessibility team to reach out to gamers with disabilities and get their feedback through avenues like user studies and panels to learn more about their experience with the game. The feedback we've received has been amazing. Both the positive and the constructive feedback has helped us make the game better, not just for those with disabilities, but for all of our players. Also, I have to say it's been incredible to see how much passion there is for this topic, both in our studio and in the community.
It sounds like y'all have been taking the right steps, and I'm very happy to know we've got some great inclusive gaming champions over at 343. So, what does this all mean for gamers with disabilities this December 8th when Halo Infinite launches?
There are a lot of improvements from previous games. For example, our subtitle system. Players can change font size, adjust the background opacity, enable color coding of dialogue per speaker, and they can choose whether they want subtitles for all gameplay or just narrative cinematic moments. And unlike previous Halo games, our subtitles are on by default.
That is awesome. And as a deaf gamer, I really appreciate those extensive subtitles options. A dev team truly after my own heart. So what other accessibility features will we see in Halo Infinite?
Along with adjusting subtitle size, you can also change the text size of all text in the game. We've also added a menu narration feature with adjustable narration speed and volume for those who commonly utilize screen readers. We've added a mode called linear navigation that lets users navigate through the UI without needing to visually see how controls are positioned on screen. And also for low vision users, we've added HUD opacity adjustments to make elements more visible.
Well, how handy is that? That's super cool.
And for players with color blindness, we've included the option of changing the friendly and enemy colors so that we have more options than just red versus blue. Even if you're not colorblind and you find that different colors pop more or you just want more customization, I think these are really good for player choice.
Wow, well actually my partner is very colorblind. Reds and greens look identical to him, and as two big Halo fans, I'm sure he's really going to appreciate this. Is there more? What else does Halo Infinite include?
For sound, our audio team has done an awesome job with 3D spatial audio and allowing players to have controls over their sound experience with different volume sliders for a variety of types of sounds. There's new text-to-speech and speech-to-text options for players who want to participate in voice chat and either need to send synthesized text or receive voice chat as synthesized text. Moving to controls, we have a ton of customizability for both controller and keyboard and mouse as far as being able to rebind keys, adjust sensitivity, and change to taps and toggles versus holds. You can set whether or not to automatically clamber up onto a ledge that you're near. We've also added movement-assisted steering, which lets you use additional controls to help steer wheeled vehicles rather than just the classic look-to-steer mechanic.
That's so cool, and that's really a lot of great stuff. And it's really nice to see how y'all have been thinking about accessibility just all across the board. Okay, so I know that this is a tough question, maybe nearly impossible, but if you had to pick your favorite feature of the bunch, what would it be?
Whew, that's a tough question, but it gives me a chance to talk about another feature set that I think is really cool and I haven't touched on yet, and those are our new sensory settings. In working with the community, one of the things that was brought up is how cognitive disabilities and people on the neurodiversity spectrum are largely left out of recent advancements in accessibility. We really wanted to make sure that we included settings here as well for those players. We've got a set of options that allows players to adjust things like radial blur, screen shake, the amount of full screen effects, and more to help them configure their experience to make gameplay content less overwhelming or uncomfortable.
Right, and cognitive accessibility is just as valid and important as any other type. And I'm so happy to see y'all have been baking accessibility in as much as you can.
We're very excited, but we know we aren't done. This has been a journey and we expect it to continue to be one. There are additional features we already know we want to add post-launch. It's a long list and I know we're limited on time, but we'll work on communicating our roadmap out and being as transparent as possible. And we'll continue to reach out to the gaming and disability community for the foreseeable future to gather feedback, flight builds, and continue our journey to make Halo Infinite as accessible as we can.
That is so exciting, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. Okay, so there's just one more question. I just need to sneak it in there because I heard that there's going to be some cool new ways to customize your Spartan. Can you share some of those details?
The narrative in our stories has a deep tie to the military, and we want to be present and respectful of that. Specifically for this topic of accessibility, we wanted to make sure that we were able to engage with veterans and active duty service members who have had severe injuries while serving our country. We were fortunate enough to be able to work with our internal veterans group as well as the nonprofit Warfighter Engaged, and we've taken what we've learned from them and put together some new prosthetic options for individuals to customize their Spartan with. And beyond just our veteran community, we want to be inclusive of all of those living with limb differences. We've worked with the nonprofit Limitless Solutions on Halo-themed prosthetics, including Infinite-specific ones. In-game and out-of-game, we think this is a really important space to engage with.
That is so cool, and representation truly matters. And it's especially important to include community members in that process. I just can't wait to check that out, along with all these new features. Paige, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Do you have any final thoughts?
Just a huge thank you to the gaming and disability community members who've been on this journey with us and continue to help us make Halo Infinite even more inclusive. And I'm incredibly grateful for the work and passion of everyone at 343 for making this a reality.
Incredible. Thanks again, Paige.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's dive into another exciting accessibility journey with the Sea of Thieves team.
Like many of our players sailing the Sea of Thieves, we ourselves have been on a journey, but ours have been one of accessibility over the last 3 or 4 years. We've got a commitment to try and introduce as many accessibility options as possible. Since launch, over half of our updates, our builds released to the players, have included either accessibility options or improvements on existing accessibility options. And even in the last 12 months, we've released nearly 30 new or improved accessibility features, like minimum text size so that everyone can read what's going on in the UI and in-game, and narrating emotes so that those with visual impairments can understand what's going on in the world. If their player is hiding in a barrel, then they too can live in the japes as well. It's like going, oh, he's pretending to be a banana. It's fine. We've introduced aspects like single stick. Single stick came about after conversations with Special Effects and Microsoft Research, and as an extension to our want to reduce held input. So those with motor skill disabilities might find it hard to hold down buttons for long periods of time. So we've reduced what it takes to pick up chests, to load cannons. We put in the auto float, which happens to, and I always get this word wrong, thalassophobia, the fear of being submerged in water, and even auto run, so you can keep on running till you hit a wall or a shark eats you. One of the two, no other way out of this. And it just shows that with accessibility, there's no real limit to what you can do. It's about creating a suite of options where players can tailor the Sea of Thieves experience for themselves.
As we start to wrap up, let me introduce Anita Mortaloni, Director of Accessibility at Xbox. Anita, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Morgan. It's so great to be here.
Could you give us a quick description of yourself for everyone watching?
Absolutely. I'm a white woman using pronouns she, her. I have dark blonde hair, wearing a long sleeve rose-colored shirt and jeans.
So, before asking what's next, I just have to take a moment to share my genuine excitement about everything talked about today. Accessibility is just an ever-growing field where its boundaries are continually expanded over and over again by change makers all across levels and platforms. And learning more about the accessibility metadata tags all the way to the fundamentals course, it makes me reflect on how far we've come and how much further I know we're going to go.
I couldn't agree more. It's moments like this where I really appreciate the innovative work that is happening. What sticks with me, though, are the stories we heard from the community, showcasing the endless possibilities of gaming and even the ability to unlock future careers.
Absolutely. And as we say time and time again, nothing about us without us. And as a community member, I'm really glad to see that mantra reflected in the industry's accessibility journey. So then, the ultimate question, what is next? When can players and creators get access to these features?
That is the ultimate question. Many of the features shared today will be flighted as part of the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League, including the accessibility metadata tags. And the new Gaming Accessibility Fundamentals Learning Path, the updated GDK, and features like night mode and color filters will be releasing shortly. As for what's next, we have a month-long celebration of the community that includes a series of curated games, community stories, live stream events, and more. Consider this your invitation, as we'd love to see you all there as Xbox celebrates the disability community.
I love that so much, Anita. And now I know you probably can't say the specifics on what's coming next outside of what you've shared today, but can you tell us just a little bit about how Xbox is approaching gaming in the future?
As we look farther ahead, we will continue to put players and creators at the center of what we do, with a focus on 3 things. First, creating a community that is welcoming, where players can come as they are, feel safe and included. Second, building out even more accessibility features, allowing further customization of your experience. And last, making it easier to include accessibility by providing accessibility resources. Ultimately, we want to make it easier for everyone to find the next game that they will love and can play, while sharing the joy of play and creation.
Well, when everyone plays, we all win. Thank you for joining us, Anita.
Thank you, Morgan.
I just can't emphasize how vital this community is in making this all possible. So now let's hear more from you.
The first time I can recall playing a game that really struck me as being accessible to me was L.A. Noire, which allowed me to skip parts of the game, the driving sections in particular, that I had issue with after 4 or 5 failures. That was the first time that I went, okay, these guys are thinking outside of the norms and allowing you to just continue with the story, and that was a very special moment for me in my gaming history.
The first time I played a game that was accessible to my needs, I felt free. That's the simplest way I can put it. I felt like I didn't have any limitations. Nothing could stop me. Nothing was in my way. Well, at least most of the time, because not everything was perfect. And that's the thing. Accessibility isn't perfect, at least not yet. But it was great to be able to just feel like I could do the same things as everybody else. Any sighted person, almost.
When a game is accessible, I feel included in a way that I rarely experience navigating the world as a blind woman.
And with that, it is time to say goodbye for now. Thank you for joining us and being a part of the community that is working so hard to bring gaming to everyone. Don't forget to join us as Xbox celebrates the disability community this month. Join the Xbox Accessibilities Insiders League, earn your Gaming Accessibility Fundamentals badge, and most importantly, get out there and play.